Sean Marks and the Nets front office made two moves today, a trade and a signing. Do either of them work out? What does the potential look like? And as training camp dates have been announced and we move forward, what does the roster eventually shape up to look like? Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Brooklyn Boys Show on a beautiful Monday, September 15th edition of the show. Appreciate you all tuning in. If you haven't done so yet, do us a favor. Click like, click subscribe. It helps us grow a ton right here on the show. Hit up the comment section. Throw your questions, comments, thoughts like Jonathan already has. Keep those coming in. If you're listening with us live, that helps us grow a ton. All of that does. Share this, friends and family, but like and subscribe. Completely free, helps us grow a ton on the show. We are inching closer to 500 subscribers by the day at this point. We are less than 50 away. So it should be pretty easy. Let's get there within these next couple of weeks, certainly. By the time the net season kicks off, helps us a ton out on the show. It'll help us get monetized, help us bring you guys better content from Connor and I right here on the Brooklyn Boys Show. You're listening live Monday, September 15th. Couple notes to get into before we get started here. It's been a little bit since we had an episode, I think almost a week now, but since then, former Net Jason Collins, 9 seasons with the Nets. He was a part of that team that bridged New Jersey to Brooklyn, is dealing with a cancerous brain tumor. So our thoughts and prayers are with him and his family at this time, hoping nothing but the best for him and all those around him. Extremely sad to learn about that. But on a little bit of a brighter note, the Nets have released their training camp days, baby. And if you're like me, if you're a diehard fan, if you just cannot wait to get the season back up and running, get the show on the road, as they say in the theater business. Media day is slated, training camp is slated, and then it's preseason, baby. So let me just give you a quick rundown here so you know what to expect. You know what type of content we'll be bringing you guys throughout this next couple of weeks. Media Day official, baby. Tuesday, September 23rd. Mark your calendars. The Nets will congregate at the HSS Training Center down in Brooklyn, of course. There will be media there. The beat reporters will be there. So we will get press conferences from Jordy Fernandez, from Sean Marks, and all the players, of course. Media day also entails they get their photos done, they get all that cool stuff in. I'm sure they'll do some video board stuff to have a great year, hopefully, at the Barclays Center in terms of all that. So media day, very exciting. Tuesday, September 23rd. Yes, folks, that is a week from tomorrow. Midday, baby. We will be getting Nets content, Nets media availability. And then the next day starts officially training camp, baby. That's practices from Wednesday, the 24th of September, all the way through Friday, October 3rd. So that's about a 2-week chunk. Not a ton of time, but some time for this Nets team to gel as a group, get group practices in. And look, as we'll talk about today on the show, there have been people busting in and out of the doors of this Nets team the entire offseason. So there will be new faces to meet and learn how they will help out this scheme and Jordy Fernandez. And there will be people that unfortunately the Nets are going to have to say goodbye to, because as we sit here right now, a week and change before training camp officially begins, the Nets still are over the limit worth of training camp players. They were actually under it or at the limit heading into the day before they made 2 additions, at least to their roster for the time being. So we'll get into those. And then preseason game number 1, baby. Saturday, October 4th versus Hapoel Jerusalem at the Barclays Center, the only home preseason game out of the 4. They have 2 in China. And then another one that's going to be on the road. So the Nets only have 1 preseason game. It comes the day after training camp has concluded. And so we'll have coverage of training camp, everything you need to know from the practices to what to look forward to. We'll have pre and post for every single game throughout the preseason and obviously the regular season. Note on the preseason, they're playing 2 China games. One of them's on a Sunday, so we'll definitely have coverage there. One of them is, though, on a Friday at 8 a.m. That happens to be right when my school starts, so I'll try and catch some of that game. Maybe I'll come back, watch it on tape delay, but we might not have immediate pre- and post coverage of that game. Everything else, though, stay right here locked in on the Brooklyn Boys Show, so like and subscribe. One more time, I'll tell you before we dive into things, if you haven't done so yet, it helps us grow tremendously. Want to get in on the conversation? Be like Jonathan, head over to the chat. Throw questions, comments, thoughts in there for me to react to in just a little bit. But now, baby, into the 2 big moves of the day. And I saw this first one. I guess we'll go in chronological order. When I got out of school, Eric Slater, boom, popped right up on my Twitter feed. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing this name correctly. David Muoka is how I'm saying it. From the Chicago Bulls G League, a former Long Island Net, who the Nets got earlier today, and then they traded for Kobe Buffkin from the Hawks. Probably a more significant deal, which we'll get into in a little bit. But Muoka played on the Windy City Bulls last year, which I mentioned is the Chicago Bulls G League affiliate. About 29 minutes a night, so that's a pretty healthy amount of time there, about 30 minutes. 65% shooting from the floor. That's good for 11.5 points per game, 2.6 assists, 9.9 rebounds. That's what you keep an eye out for. 9.9 rebounds, as well as 11.6 points, and then 2.1 blocks per game, so making his presence felt on the interior and the paint, and he played a little bit for the Long Island Nets back in the 2023-24 season. It was minimal. I think it was 10 or so games, so not a ton of time there, but he does have at least a little bit of familiarity with the group, and I suppose there is a chance he's back on Long Island this year. The Nets still have a 2-way spot available to give out after they signed DJ Liddell to the second one, and obviously they waived Tosan Uwoma, so you're looking at one more 2-way spot. And that's still up for grabs as we head into the training camp. But I think an important piece to this puzzle is that Muoka was born and raised in Hong Kong. And as I mentioned before, the Nets are playing 2 NBA China preseason games, which has made some people on Twitter a little skeptical, skeptical, excuse me, stumbling through my words there. That this was a publicity stunt and that Sean Marks doesn't want him, and that the Nets would just look good for having the hometown kid in the NBA China games against the Phoenix Suns for the preseason. But you have to understand that, albeit it's before when the regular season starts, and at that point, you are still allowed to go into training camp preseason with 21 on the roster. But right now, the Nets have 23 guys on the roster. So you need to cut it down to 21 by media day. And who knows if the Nets, they've been making a ton of these esque moves, the smaller market ones, but still having an impact on the squad. And they have 23 right now. That number could easily grow considering the Nets still have cap money to spend. And that needs to get cut down by next Tuesday, media day, the 23rd. So you got to make at least 2 cuts as we stand now. There could easily be a scenario where you're adding guys to this roster and therefore more guys are going to need to get cut. So if this whole thing is a publicity stunt, I hope it is great publicity for the Nets, but I also hope this is a guy in David Muoka who actually brings you some sort of value keeping around on your training camp roster. And I think he does go into training camp. I don't think the Nets just pick him up, off the streets and then say, yeah, you're not going to make our training camp roster before they can even get a fair look at him. And I think especially he definitely has a case here because he is a guy gunning for a center spot. And right now, the Nets are a little bit mixed up when it comes to their front court. Is MPJ going to slide to the 3 is what we've been hearing. Noah Clowney, who I view as a true power forward, is also getting small forward talk. So that would be adding a space. To me, I've been saying this for the longest now. Drew Timmy's a roster lock to me. There's no way he doesn't make the team in my eyes. So David Muoka is definitely going to, have some guys to contend with, especially when it comes actual cut down day. And it's not just getting your roster down to 21 to head into training camp, but when it actually becomes you need 15 standard contracts to start the NBA season, this probably isn't a guy that you're tabbing at the top of your list, to make a dark horse run for the roster. But no doubt, I think they bring him in. He's a guy that has a little bit of experience in the organization, but as I mentioned before, gives you the upside in 30 minutes, scoring 11 and a half points per game. Not bad at all. You highlight 9.9 rebounds and 2.1 assists per game. That's really where you put the emphasis here because the Nets, to be honest, need some rebounding bodies. And Day'Ron Sharpe was a very efficient rebounder last year, but I'm not sure Noah Clowney brings to that aspect. Who knows what happens to Nick Claxton at this point? That ball's still way up in the air. And then Drew Timme, I think, could be extremely solid, but no doubt you want an extra body in there for training camp. If nothing else, spark a little bit of competition amongst the starters. Good to have in case God forbid, any injuries happen. Just an overall depth piece that I don't mind bringing in here. Do I think he makes the final roster? No. Am I certainly counting him out right now before we've even seen training camp begin? No. But is this a guy I think eventually finds his way into the training camp building? Absolutely. Because other than that, I don't see any reason why in the world you sign this guy if you're not going to give him his training camp shot. So absolutely, I do think David Muoka, the Hong Kong kid, going to go home and play in the NBA China games in the preseason. But to me, the bigger move, and I think the bigger move to every Nets fan, this happened a short while after I got home from school. Shams Charania reported, and Michael A. Scotto backed this one up. The former 15th pick in the 2023 NBA draft by the Atlanta Hawks, Kobe Buffkin, was traded to the Brooklyn Nets for cash considerations, which was later revealed to be $110,000. When you look at this from the Hawks' perspective, they're clearly just trying to get rid of a roster spot, open that up for somebody else. They don't believe in Buffkin. Formerly one pick outside of the lottery, so he had a ton of potential, but look, I think this Hawks team has seen enough from him. They want to move on. And then that $110,000, I'm guessing that's a specific number. They need to be under some sort of cap. I'm not versed into the Atlanta Hawks cap situation per se. But I would have to guess if it's that specific of a number, that would be the reason the Hawks trying to get under some sort of cap threshold there. But he's only 21 years old, so the upside is absolutely still there. This is not a guy whose NBA lifespan rather, is dead already. And what I've been saying all offseason, alongside that Drew Timme's a lock, it's that if any team in the NBA right now has the ability to just give a guy a shot, to just bring him in, see what he can do. If not, no issue. This is probably going to be the worst team in the league, bottom three for sure. If there's any team at this point, the Brooklyn Nets would absolutely love to have you. A long-running joke. Anybody can play for the Nets at this point. But it's true. The Nets are the team that will be able to take you in. And they certainly have the cap space to do so. Not that Kobe Buffkin is an expensive dent against the cap. But my point is that Brooklyn is willing to hand out roster spots to guys who otherwise, may be ending up on a G League team, may be struggling to keep their NBA careers alive. But unlike what I just mentioned about David Muoka, I think Kobe Buffkin certainly makes the team, and especially because it's a trade. And I'll get into what he's done in his career, but let's just think about this from a barter perspective. If you're going to trade for him and take on the salary, and I guess the only way he doesn't go into camp is you buy him out beforehand, it just makes no sense. And I think you want Buffkin on this roster. Former 15th pick, as I mentioned, in 2023, and the definition of zero risk, high reward. This guy doesn't work out? Perfect. Nobody cares. We forget about him in 2 years. And whatever. I don't care. Kobe Buffkin doesn't work out. Net season's a failure. No, not how it's going to work out. I think he'll get his fair run like a lot of Nets players are. And I don't think you buy him out. I think you let it ride and you see how it goes, because the injuries in his career have killed him. He's only played 27 career games over 2 seasons. So he has not been healthy for his NBA career. Had season-ending right shoulder surgery last year. So yeah, the injuries have killed him. 27 career games. That's not a lot. But Brooklyn's willing to give him a chance. Atlanta wants the roster spot. They've seen enough. When they originally drafted him, listening to a Hawks fan speak today on the great Gary and the great Gary of BK Nothing But Nets, his show, he had a Hawks fan on for a little bit who said that Kobe Buffkin was supposed to be Trae Young's solidified backup, and obviously that didn't turn out if they're trading him for $100,000 and 2 years later. But the Nets will certainly be able to take him on. But let's look just briefly at what he's done. Obviously, it hasn't been a tremendous sample size in what he's done on the court. Only 10 games last year after right shoulder surgery. Ended his season in early December. He felt discomfort before that. But in his time on the court, averaged 12 and a half minutes a game. Shot 21% from three. So that's what you really don't get. The three-point shot is absolutely not there whatsoever. His effective field goal percentage, which is 3 points worth more than a two, basically the modern field goal percentage, was 42%. Again, not good, and averaged five and a third points per game. But basically everywhere else you look, Buffkin was not great. Assists, less than two a game. Rebounds, a little bit surprising for a guy his size, 2.1. But for 12 minutes a game and only 27 career games played, you got to give the guy a shot. And when I come into it as a guy that's 21 years old, who does that remind you of on the Nets? If you're in the chat, who does that remind you of on the Brooklyn Nets right now? Highly touted prospect, mid first round pick, 21, but has only played 20 or so games in his NBA career because injuries have killed him. If you sitting at home said Dariq Whitehead, ding, 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 we have a winner. The similarities are almost jaw-dropping. Kobe Buffkin and Dariq Whitehead. Let's see. Yep. Jonathan got it. There we go, Whitehead. Let's see how Jordy Fernandez approaches this. Because he could easily say, yeah, we've went over the tape. Sorry, he can be on the end of the bench, but I want to develop my rookies right now. But I also think there provides a ton of value in saying this season is not going to go well, no matter how we look at it. And we're going to give these guys a shot. Because who knows, maybe we do find that diamond in the rough. Maybe Sean Mark's career is safe because Kobe Buffkin is Trae Young after all. Which, let's be honest here, we're getting ahead of ourselves. But a week before Media Day, what can I say? I'm excited, folks. I am ready for Brooklyn Nets basketball. I know that's a little bit further away, end of October, so about 5 weeks out from the season opener in Charlotte. And then, obviously, the home opener against Cleveland on that Friday night. That's super exciting, but I think the real thing you have to keep your eye on, back to being on topic. Excitement aside, I think the real thing you got to keep your eye on here is that there are 10 guards currently going into Brooklyn Nets training camp. And Kobe Buffkin only adds to that list as a shooting guard. There's just so many guys. It's going to be so tough for these back-end guys to earn roster spots. Igor Gioman, Cam Thomas, Nolan Traore, Ben Saraf, Keon Johnson, Drake Powell. Did I mention there? I guess he's more of a forward, but you could probably also classify Jalen Wilson in that category, Dariq Whitehead, as I just mentioned, Kobe Buffkin, and there might be one more that I'm blanking on here, but let's just put it this way. There's competition for sure. And I think Kobe Buffkin makes this roster because it's a why not scenario, but 21% from three, I'll be the first to tell you, despite the injuries, 21% from three never is going to look good on your transcript. But all in all, the Nets got to give him a chance. That's what I will say about Kobe Buffkin. And David Muoka, the Nets' two latest moves, a trade and a signing earlier today from Sean Marks, but what does this mean going forward? We got 23 guys on the training camp roster, and we need to cut it to 21 by next Tuesday. So, a couple names thrown out there on the chopping block to start things off: Jalen Wilson and Keon Johnson. Both of those guys I mentioned as guards in that, that room that only continues to rise in popularity, basically. Nets got to get rid of those guys, and those are the guys with the extremely cheap contracts that still have yet to hit the salary floor. And I don't think this is a situation where they take on another huge salary dump like they have all offseason. Maybe if you package it in a Cam Thomas trade, maybe you ship him to Boston, maybe Milwaukee has interest, maybe Houston has interest. But all in all, it's gonna be hard for Sean Marks to continue to find roster spots for guys that are salary dumps. And Haywood Highsmith I didn't even mention, but he's more of a forward. Excuse me. It's gonna be hard, no doubt, to find guys to continuously just take onto this roster because you have no interest in them and you want to stockpile second round picks. Who does that help at the end of the day? Who does that help? So I think you go in, you say goodbye to a couple of your team options in Jalen Wilson, Tyrese Martin, Keon Johnson. I guess out of those three, obviously Timmy's the lock out of the bunch for me. Out of those three, I'd probably rather, out of all of them, keep Keon Johnson on this team. Next, Tyrese Martin, last Jalen Wilson. That's probably how I would order it, but any way you want, man. Any way you want. I think you take your pick on two of those guys, but it kind of does feel a little bit ridiculous. What are we? A year removed from Jalen Wilson being Summer League MVP? To not even bring him into camp? I think Jalen Wilson and Tyrese Martin and Keon Johnson make it to camp because at least they're tenured on the Nets. I mean, Fenbo Zhang, who still has yet to officially sign, who I'm high on. When's he actually going to sign? But, man, who knows at this point? Who knows? And there will be moves to come. Sean Marks has to stay busy, so we will get news on that within the coming week or so and break all that down right here on the channel. Smash the like and hit subscribe if you haven't done so yet. Chat into the show, into the live chat. We'll take a very, very quick 1-minute break right here on the show. Come right back with us. You're listening to the Brooklyn Boys Show live on YouTube Monday, September 15th, baby. Stay with us. Get questions, comments, thoughts in the chat. If you haven't done so yet, like and subscribe. Helps the community grow a ton on our way to 500 subscribers. See you on the other side of this break.
You are listening to the Brooklyn Boys Show with your host, Connor Long. If you're enjoying the show, drop us a sub and leave a like. It helps more Nets fans find us. Quick break, then back to talking Brooklyn Nets basketball.
Today's episode of the Brooklyn Boys Show is brought to you by our presenting sponsor, Shoreline Sports Cards, located at 137 Main Street in Port Washington, New York. Whether you're chasing the newest hobby boxes, grabbing singles, or just want to talk cards with fellow collectors, Shoreline is the spot. They've got a massive selection across basketball, football, baseball, and more, with new inventory hitting the shelves every single week. If you're local, make sure to stop by the shop at 137 Main Street in Port Washington and check it out for yourself. If you're not in the area, no worries at all. You can still keep up with Shoreline by following them on Instagram, eBay, and whatnot for product drops, live breaks, deals, and hobby updates. All links are right in the description down below. Huge thanks to Shoreline Sports Cards for supporting the show and the Brooklyn Nets community.
You are listening to the Brooklyn Boys Show live on YouTube Monday, September 15th, a week and a day removed from Media Day. A week and 2 days removed from the official beginning of training camp. Yes, my voice is a little bit hoarse, a little bit shot. I'm a little bit sick right now, so going through it. We went through the allergy phase. This is more of the stuffed nose, clogged up situation. But we will push through right here on the show. Had to get an episode in. Feel like we haven't done one in ages at this point. absolutely had to get an episode in, was pivotal to my night tonight. So we appreciate all you tuning in. And if you haven't done so yet, smash the like and then subscribe. It helps us grow way more than you would think on the show. One sub, one like goes such a long way. Share this with friends and family to help us grow. And comment stuff in the chat if you want us to react to it. We will start at the top. Jonathan, our best chatter of the day. You win that award, my friend. After the Buffkin trade, the Nets have 10 guards, and everyone wants to know if Cam Thomas trade before media day is on the horizon. Well, Jonathan, all I can tell you is that I hope for it. I mean, I can't take over the Nets front office and single-handedly trade Cam Thomas, but again, I think it benefits both parties to not have him on the team this year. But then again, it took him $7 million, or it took him doubling his qualifying offer money. He got offered that to waive his no-trade clause, and he said no. So he clearly wants control of his future that bad. Excuse me. He clearly wants control of his future that bad. So if that's the case, you got to think that unless you find a great suitor for him, unless it's one of his first options, you're going to have trouble trading him, and it's unfortunate because I think it's the only way that this story ends in a semi-happy way. The overloading of guards has been puzzling, confusing strategy this summer, with the inevitable Cam Thomas divorce and Claxton possibly being moved. Maybe one or both get moved soon. Claxton, I would think they hold off until next offseason. Again, Sean Marks seems to love him for some reason or another. He's just a particular guy. And Nick Claxton's one of the guys that he's particularly high on. So I think that they hold off on Nick Claxton. I think they wait until the center market is absolutely dire. Maybe at the deadline, you get a contending team like Los Angeles willing to invest in a shot blocker, but they just got DeAndre Ayton, so that might be a tough one to finagle. I just think that unless the center market's booming, like Sean Marks isn't going to trade him away unless he thinks he's getting full value. There's a reason he paid 4 years, $100 million for this guy and 25 a year. Like, this isn't a guy that Sean Marks takes lightly. He sees that potential in Nick Claxton and thinks he's going to have a ginormous career with the Brooklyn Nets. Whether that's going to pan out, I really couldn't tell you. He had an awful year last year. I think every Nets fan would be first to admit that to you. But I also want to add that I think he is primed for a bounce back year. And if that's the case and he can return to his 2022-23 form, you're looking at a guy whose trade value just went way up, and a guy who, when teams are desperate, excuse me, at the deadline, or maybe even next offseason when they're truly trying to plan their roster. Right now, Jonathan doesn't feel like the time for Nick Claxton, because if you needed a center, you probably got him by now, by September 15th, by media day being 1 week away. You probably have your center by now, or at least you're content. If you don't have your center in the future, you're at least content with a fill-in option for now. Obviously, Charlotte's a possibility. They probably have the worst center league in the league. I think it's still headlined by Mason Plumlee. But also, does the LaMelo Ball and Hornets want to compete? Like, Scotty Miller want to compete? That's not a team. Or Brandon Miller want to compete? That's not a team, to me, that goes very far. So I'm not sure how high they are on Nick Claxton. I'm not sure that Sean Marks wants to trade Nick Claxton, even if he got an all right deal. That's where I stand on the Nets center position. Cam Thomas, yes. Please go ahead and trade him. Smash the like and hit subscribe. We had double digits of you tuned in here. If you all hit subscribe, we would be only a couple subscribers away from 500. If you all hit like, this content would get spread out to so many more people. So like and subscribe if you haven't done so yet. We'll get to more of your questions if you want to get in on the conversation. Live chat, please. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. Jumbling this roster to 20 plus, part of an opportunity for these guys to truly battle out for spots in these preseason games and then get cut from the roster. Absolutely, Jonathan. I think that's part of that. And I mentioned it with the signing of David Muwaka. I don't think this is a guy that makes the final roster, but even if he doesn't, he can at least provide a little bit of center battle in that room. Guys trying to scrap it out for those final spots. And I think the preseason games are going to be competitive. I'm not sure how much Phoenix really cares that, they want to fly out to China and actually play guys that they're on the roster bubble about, or they're really just looking at things in the practice facility and keeping all that to themselves. I think it's completely different for the Nets. I think this is a team that is going to be very competitive in every preseason game. Want to be hungry, want to win. And not only want to win as a team, but want to see development, want to see guys actually making a compelling case for the roster. I don't want to just go into training camp, have a really stale preseason, not learn anything about these guys. And then we head into the regular season, not having any roster changes, not having any guys really shock us in a good way. That's not ideal for me. I want this Nets team. I want the best players to shine in the preseason and really see what this Nets team can be. Obviously, not everything's going to click in 4 games in the preseason. It's not going to be the starting 5 the whole time. It's not going to be guys who are genuinely going to play rotational minutes for this Nets team. But I think there's a huge case to say that this Nets team, truly tries to at least build a little bit of continuity, little bit of, some sort of stability there within the organization. Jonathan, many watching these China games at 7 or 8 in the morning unless breakfast is on the table. Or unless you're at school for me, like I am going to be on that Friday at 8 a.m. Again, I might have to tape delay that. I might have to watch it in class. I hope my parents aren't watching. I don't know what I'm going to do. But pre-post game coverage for every single game. I'm guessing for that game, if I had to put a guesstimate on it now, we do a pregame show that Thursday night about what to expect. And then as soon as I get home, flip on the TV, watch that game on tape delay, give you guys a breakdown in the early evening. But appreciate the support, Jonathan. You're the best. Only true diehard Nets fans. That's what I'll say. I mean, I was talking to my friends at school about this earlier today. They were like, what the hell? You want to watch the Nets preseason game in China against the Phoenix Suns bench? I was like, yeah, I mean, you clearly don't understand. You are clearly not as well versed in the sports community. And that's not a diss at all. People are allowed to have any type of fandom they want. But amen, Jonathan. If you want to be a true diehard, I'm expecting you to watch those 8 a.m., those 7 a.m. games. Wake up on a football Sunday. That's going to be a sports lover's dream right there. Little Brooklyn Nets at 7 a.m. right into Jets Giants at 1 p.m. there. So that should be a fun day full of sports. Let's see. More comments to get to. If you haven't done so yet, smash like and subscribe if you haven't done so yet. Get questions, comments, thoughts in the chat. Breaking news, the Knicks picked up Tosan Awoma from Walmart. Apparently his Kawhi Summer League performance was very exciting. His hands are probably look like Kawhi Leonard. That's all I'll say. I don't specifically love to diss people on this channel because I would never make it to the NBA. I would never come close. I don't even think I would make my high school team. I don't think if I went back and tried out for my middle school team, I would actually get minutes. So, as much as I hate dissing guys, I mean, Tosan Awoma, come on, was just my least favorite net for all of last season. I didn't want to see a single more minute of him, and I'm happy that the Nets properly disposed of him. But I can't tell if you're being serious on whether or not the Nets picked him up or not. Because if they did, please let me know. I'd love to see Tosan Awoma get minutes for the Knicks in the Borough rivalry. But I somehow kind of suspect that a playoff contending team with NBA championship aspirations and a new head coach is not looking for Tosan Awoma to get genuine minutes on their team. Please let me know if I am incorrect, though. Let's see here. Let's see. Little Tariq Whitehead action after the Buffkin trade. Besides Thomas' uncertain future, is there any remaining hope for Tariq on this team? Past next year's trade deadline, it looks super slim now. Past next year's trade deadline, I don't think so. This is boom or bust for Tariq Whitehead right now. And I think the boom is going to have to be a lot greater than what the bust potentially could be. Because you talk about a guy that has been injury-riddled his entire NBA career, has not gotten his fair chance, has not spent much of any time on the NBA floor, and asked to be optioned back to Long Island last year, didn't think he was fit for the NBA lifestyle when he only played two games in his rookie year. So I feel for Tariq Whitehead, but as a guard whose emphasis on speed, agility, and quickness, a lower leg injury is not going to help your case. Like, that's extremely tough to recover from. In an NBA that has increasingly short player lifespans, that's going to be extremely hard to recover from. So it is boom or bust for Dariq Whitehead in the biggest way possible, not only for his Nets career, maybe for his NBA career, because if things don't start, shaping out extremely well for him, I'm not sure what teams are going to want to buy high on Dariq Whitehead. Next year's trade deadline is ways away. I would go to maybe even this year's trade deadline. There's people saying they don't want him on the team right now. I think you got to give him a fair shot because you haven't yet. If the injuries continue to haunt him, bye-bye to Dariq Whitehead. I'm really sorry. We just can't take this any longer in terms of the injury standpoint. I would be shocked if he makes it through all of next year to next trade deadline. That seems way, way off in the distance. And by then, hopefully the Nets have their somebody of the future, whether it's AJ DeBansta, one of the Boozer brothers, Cam Boozer, Dylan Pedersen. But right now, I'm not worried about Dariq Whitehead at next year's trade deadline. Let's put it that way. Let's see. Knicks signed him. Okay, the Knicks actually signed Tosan Awoma. There we go, baby. And our Knicks fan in the chat is King Rebby RM, a dedicated listener and supporter of the show. So King Rebby RM, first of all, I appreciate you tuning into the show. I appreciate you commenting and showing your support. We signed him and he will get cut. But salute. Like, subscribe, and share. Completely agree with what you said at the end of that comment there. Like, subscribe, and share. You guys are the best. If you all like, subscribe, and share, we gain so much support, pushes this content out to fellow Nets viewers, helps us grow on our road to 500 subscribers. King Rebby, it's been a little while since you've been in the chat. So glad to have you back. Yeah, I don't think he makes this next team. I mean, I'm not sure what New York's two-way situation looks like, but I can't imagine Tosan Awoma in any world gets a standardized contract and is actually playing for the New York Knicks. But I think that he could certainly be a two-way guy, but how much do two-way guys play on the 2025-2026 New York Knicks team? I'm going to guess just about as close to zero as it gets because, frankly, that's a contending team right there. They don't want, they don't want development on their team. They don't want a 24-year-old Princeton product who has had no mark on the NBA to be getting minutes in their team. So don't worry about it, King Rebby. You please have Tosan Awoma. No problem with that. I hope you enjoy. I hope he has a great camp. And frankly, I hope to see him in the crosstown interborough rivalry. But we will see. We shall see. Sam is in the chat. Appreciate you tuning in, Sam. Throwback to Nets legend Jared Dudley. Man, the beginning of the Brooklyn era, man, there's so many faces to just look back on and genuinely smile about. Like, I was thinking about just Joe Johnson randomly in the middle of class today. And it was just like, oh, man, Joe Johnson at the buzzer. Oh, Joe Johnson. That's my best Iron Eagle for you. Shout out Chase Colbert if you're watching me. You really mentored me. Expression. But like, there's so many just Nets guys who, ask an LA Clippers fan, or ask whatever, any random team, basically any one of the 29 teams that is not a Nets-obsessed fan base. And these people aren't known. Like, Rondé Hollis Jefferson is not a household name. But just a guy that I look back on and smile. Like, man, Jared Allen, obviously a little more known these days with his success in the Cavs, but his days at the Nets, that's one of my first favorite Nets of all time. Throwback to Nets legend Jared Dudley. Sam, you made me smile with that one. Appreciate you tuning in. King Ribby says, LOL, we have one two-way. That's going to be a Dink Pant, a 6'9" point guard. Don't know who Dink Pant is. But best of luck, King Rebby. He says, laughing emoji. Y'all can have him back at John. And then Jonathan responds and speaks for the entire Nets fan base and says, we don't even want him. No Tosan hot potato between the Nets and the Knicks. All I'm telling you is don't expect a lot from Tosan Awoma this year, King Rebby RM, because if you do, you're going to get increasingly let down. And even in the time he plays, like in the Summer League, what did he shoot one game? Like 2 for 15, I think he was in one Summer League game. And that's when I knew. Like I was long off the Tosan Awoma trade from the second he stepped on the Brooklyn court. That was like the fifth last straw for me when the guy shoots 15 shots in the summer league. Buddy, you're not supposed to be there. We don't care about your development. We could not have wanted you off the team faster. But you want to shoot 15 shots in the summer league and take away from the actual people who matter on this team. I was never going to be a Tosan Uwoma trade. But, baby, I'm happy that he is off the team. Is that Connor Long backstage motioning for him to come on the show? Is that what you want, Connor? Thumbs up or thumbs down? You want to come on. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been a while. It has been from the Italy vacation to the COVID stretch to the beginning of the Jet season. Yeah, haven't seen his face in a while. But allow me to welcome back to the show the amazing Connor Long, my co-host. Connor, how you doing, my friend?
I am doing well, Josh. I saw you started the stream tonight, and I was like, I'll go check if Josh is still alive. I was watching some of Monday Night Football after my Jet show, and I'm like, he is! He is! So I said, I might as well log on to StreamYard and see what's popping. What's up, chat? Josh gave me about a month to do of work on my own, so I thought I would return the favor. That's the thought process, but in all seriousness, I will be back soon in full swing every day. Say right when training camp starts, because I said Monday about 2 weeks ago.
Yes.
You got my word. Now, the day that training camp starts, whatever the hell that is, I will be back.
Media day, Connor Long's back.
You're talking about Tosan Uwoma?
Yes. Couldn't have wanted him off the team faster, but I had just heard that the Knicks
I gotta
signed him. So.
Still freaking cover the guy for the Knicks and Knicks X Factor. I was writing about him today. So, Tosan Uwoma, get out of the Knicks or Nets so I do not have to write or cover about you at any point.
We have a couple Knicks fans in the chat
Ooh.
that are hating on him before they've even. King Ribby's a Knicks fan.
Okay, I've seen King Ribby before. What's going on, my friend? Yeah, Knicks have actually made some interest. The Knicks 4 free agent signings they've made are like so much more high quality than the ones the Nets. Who's it? Kobe Coffin is the
Yeah, they signed Kobe Buffkin from the Hawks. It was a trade, actually.
I don't know why I said Coffin. They traded them for what, cash?
Yeah, $110K, so a bag of peanut M&Ms.
So they just wanted an open roster spot.
Yes, exactly. And I'm sure there's some like minor cap threshold they wanted to hit there with that specific of a number, but he's only played 27 career games and he hasn't been great, but injuries have killed him, much like Derek Whitehead we were talking about.
Yes, sir. All right. I am here for the fun, so you lead the show, and I will hop in whenever you need me. I will.
Amen.
On the screen.
Well, I was about to wrap up soon, but I mean, do you want to stay on for a little bit?
Yeah, we can go through the chat if you want.
Okay, I already got through most of it, but let's see what we have here from Jonathan. Biggest question, Josh, will Cam Thomas get a mic interview next Tuesday on Media Day? I mean, I don't know how the Nets are going to approach that. I probably think that they're going to want some content from him, but maybe they just try and ghost him. I mean, I don't – it is toxic drama at this point. How does this end? Connor, we haven't gotten to hear your thoughts since the QO officially got put into place. You think this is a trade? You think he genuinely plays it out with the Nets? You think the Nets try and screw him over for having a bad attitude?
No, the Nets are the Nets. So what's going to happen is he will ultimately play this out. The Nets couldn't have botched this situation any worse. Yeah. And like if you're the Nets, you have to give them a mic because this is a team that is in the dumps right now, and you don't want to see them making headlines for all the wrong reasons. So just give them a mic. It's good PR. I'm not looking for more attention on this team. Like I went from actually being those who watched the show over the summer knew how I was optimistic and thought the Nets could be a play-in team. Like I think they're a 15-win team this year. Like the way they play with Cam Thomas and everything, it's gonna be freaking awful this year.
We are in full effect. I mean, if the Nets don't get the number 1 pick this year, this season is practically a failure. But the only publicity they've been receiving lately is the Michael Porter Jr.
Again, all the wrong reasons as well.
What even is an adjective to describe that? Like
stupid.
It's just
like Aaron Rodgers. Like I just can't stand.
I don't even want to talk about it, but I had to come on here talk about how much of an idiot and a clown show he's before he's even played a game here.
Like, yeah, it's not like I got it with it like Aaron Rodgers too. When he was with
that guy's a Hall of Famer though. This guy just got off a championship contending team. It's like, okay, great, I'll stop.
The way I think about it is, if you're winning, you can do this and it's fine. But when you start to lose and you start to not play well, the off court off-field issues that weren't an issue when you were having success and you were winning become an issue.
Yeah, I mean, I never heard about this in Denver, but now that he comes to Brooklyn, it's all over the headlines for the wrong reasons. And you're right about the Cam Thomas situation. It is, it, it's only a matter of days in my eyes before they trade him. Obviously, the no trade clause, he has all the power there, so you're gonna have to find a fit for somewhere he likes.
Why would he ever waive that though? Like, why would he want to go play for like the freaking Houston Rockets? Like,
why would he?
Why would he? He'd want to be the leading scorer, stat pad here, get out, get his money next offseason.
Right, but I feel like there's just such a world where Jordy Fernandez turns around and is like, all right, I don't really care about you anymore. You're not going to be here for much longer. So how about you either accept the trade or we'll just play Nolan Traore in front of you and you can be a bench piece for whatever, 15 minutes a night. So, I mean, Cam Thomas could easily get screwed over by the Nets right now. The Nets could easily get screwed over by Cam Thomas right now. And I don't think he's a – we talked about this all offseason. He's a shot chucker. But, you know, like last year, there's a chance where this Nets team ends up in the wrong direction and the tank is getting semi-killed because, you know, whatever. They can't manage the minutes right. They can't manage the rookie development right. And at least last year, we were talking about guys like Dorian Finney-Smith and Dennis Schroeder. But this year, you got 5 rookies to develop and probably at least 3 or 4 of them will be up in Brooklyn to at least start the season. So, the young guy's development is going to be absolutely huge. What?
You mean Long Island?
No, I think the only guy that's on Long Island is Roth.
I was looking at like a Long Island Nets depth chart or what they were expecting yesterday. It was. I think all 5 rookies will spend time there. Hot take.
Whoa. Over Yegor? I think Yegor's like 25, 30 a night.
I think we'll see him there at some point. It could be 1 game. It could be 10 games. I think we will see every rookie suit up for the Long Island Nets at least one time this season.
But that just doesn't make sense. Like,
sure
you'd rather get him NBA play.
Sure it does. Where does he fit?
Is the leader of the offense.
So you think he's going to – look, I think he's going to be the starting point guard as well. But, you know, suppose, let's say Nolan Traore continues to – picks up where he left off in the summer league as the lead ball handler and the lead facilitator of this offense. You have Cam Thomas, who's going to play. Cam Thomas is going to play a lot of minutes for this team this season.
I just hope he gets
I'd rather have – like, keep in mind, I know it was a different team. I know it was a different situation with the Big Three, but Cam Thomas played a ton in Long Island his rookie year. Like, I don't want Yegor to spend the whole season there, obviously, but I think Danny Wolf is going to spend a ton of time there. I think Wolf, Sroff, especially Josh – when you look at how many guys they have now on their roster at training camp, like, keep that in mind.
They got to cut 2 before media day to even get into training camp.
Now, who do you think those 2 will be?
I mean,
I think Jalen Wilson is one.
And Tyrese Spartan probably.
Yeah. Because like they wouldn't trade for a guy that they were going to cut.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I mean, and also David Mwalka.
I was just about to mention that. He spent time with Long Island, right?
Yeah, but only like 10 games briefly, 2023 season it was. But he was born and raised in China, so like half of Nets Twitter just thinks this is a publicity stunt. And they want to, get an international fan base. And with Joe Tsai as the owner, let's say it's not – I wouldn't be genuinely shocked if that's how it went down.
1 second, Josh. I will be back. There's a huge fly on my wall that I –
Go get him. Go get him.
OCD killing me. So
all right. Okay. Oh, my – okay. I think we were both trying to remove Connor from the screen there. And we just played a little bit of ping pong. But smash like and subscribe if you haven't done so yet. Appreciate you all tuning in, approaching the hour mark on this beautiful Monday, September 15th edition of the show. It is the Connor Long return show, as they say. But as for what he said about all 5 rookies spending time on Long Island, I think the most interesting one of the bunch is going to be Danny Wolf, because no doubt this is a minutes adjustment on the fly type of thing for Jordy Fernandez. This is not just one guy getting locked into a certain role for the entire year, but Danny Wolf is so interesting, as Connor's back. Danny Wolf is so interesting because he can play the 4 and he can play the 5, but there's a chance Claxton's gone at the deadline. There's a chance that Noah Clowney is permanently moved to the small forward, which doesn't make sense to me, but that's how it could be shaping out in terms of minutes because they don't want him behind MPJ. And so there's a lot of things, but Danny Wolf sort of, and I think Drew Timme is going to make this team and be a solid rebounder for the squad. So there's a lot of possibilities, but it kind of always feels like Danny Wolf is the odd man out. And obviously his development is key, but again, no matter what, no matter how bad of a team and a roster you field, at the end of the day, Jordi Fernandez is going to go into every game trying to win it. And yes, player development is going to headline that, but you have to understand these are NBA players. They don't just go out there and not try. So Danny Wolf's minutes, I think, out of the 5 rookies is going to be the most interesting, the one that's going to vary the most depending on how he plays, and overall just the one to keep your eye out for because it truly is going to show you whether the Nets, this was just a pure potential pick, and obviously the way he played in the Summer League kind of showed that, or if this was something that the Nets truly believe in to be their long-term four, Connor.
Yeah, certainly. And I think a lot of people also forget about the veterans on this team. Like, they're going to be bench veterans playing a ton of minutes. So don't be shucking up if, we don't see a ton of Drake Powell. That's the rookie I think we all forget about. Like, I think Drake Powell's going to spend a lot of time on Long Island as well. I do anticipate a situation where we see a ton of these rookies up at Nassau Coliseum.
Yeah, I mean, a couple minutes down the road from you. So lucky you got some hometown guys coming in. But
I'm trying to go to a ton of Long Island games this year.
Yeah, that's probably a ton of fun. Like, do they even draw a crowd there, or is it sort of like you can just walk up and pick your seat?
They've been getting I don't even know, honestly.
Their practice facilities.
Their practice facilities are preschool, so
or a YMCA.
Yeah, I think it's like a YM. It's a preschool that's also like has a YMCA.
That cannot be real, bro. I remember when you first showed me that.
Yeah, that's where they practice.
A preschool converted into a YMCA.
It's a joke.
I saw the rookies on Long Island. They were clubbing. This should be investigated, bro. What? Let's see here. Drake Powell injury news is concerning. Nets Daily said he's dealing with the knee. I can't even read that. Tendinopathy.
Tendinopathy.
Yeah, you got it. Should we be worried? I think that this is going to be a not so serious thing. This is just going to be a couple of weeks into training camp, and I think
the same thing he was dealing with over Summer League. I'm not all that concerned. I'll say that.
Yeah, but to your point about all these guys spending time on Long Island, Powell's another interesting one. But like, if he can be a true shooter at the NBA level with his already great defense, like that is quality at pick number 22, and someone who might not be the flashiest guy out of the bunch, but could certainly be a guy who stays with the team long term and continues to come back on not very expensive deals, but continues to be with the team. Nets Daily is Knicks biased slop. I don't trust anything they report. I wouldn't go that far.
You want to know what I'm going to do, primetime man? We don't tolerate any Nets Daily slander as a part of the Brooklyn Boys show. Bob Windrum, great friend of the show. Lucas Kaplan, Colin Hellwig,
yes,
friends of the show. By the way, Bob Windrum's been about a season ticket holder, I think, since the ABA days. I think.
Wow.
So
it's dedication.
I don't tolerate any hate, so that will prompt you to be timed out for. I'll give you a minute. A minute. I have timed you out in the chat.
Perfect. There we go, baby.
That's what happens. Let's put that in StreamYard too. There we go.
Yes.
That's what happens.
Can't hate.
All Net fans out there.
I love Nets Daily.
Josh, do we want to wrap it up? Have we gotten through everything?
Absolutely, we've gotten through just about everything. 2 new signings on the day. 1 trade, excuse me. Kobe Buffkin. Learn the name, Connor. From the Atlanta Hawks. Former number 15th overall pick. And David Muoka, who the Nets picked up, former Chicago Bulls G League player. That's what we talked about. The great Connor Long made his reappearance out of the shadows for the first time in about a month right here on the show. We appreciate you all tuning in. If you haven't done so yet, smash the like and hit subscribe. It helps us grow a ton here on the show on our road to 500 subscribers, less than 50 away from that. Connor, appreciate you joining us for the tail half of the show. See you soon. Media Day's coming right up, baby. Week in a day.
Let's go Nets, baby. Peace out. He's Josh Wolliver. I'm Connor Long. Have a great night. and we will see you soon, Brooklyn Net fans.
See you, boys.